Annyeong, seventh graders. Welcome to seventh grade science. And Mr. Cook coming to you here today. All right, and today is Tuesday, November 10th, not 9th, here. And I have a little science meme I want you to look at. You start thinking. All right, and so go ahead and read that and look at that and think if you can't figure out why, um, what's the really the bad joke for Mr. Quinn on that? What's the pun, the double meaning for that? What does that have to do with what we've been studying with photosynthesis and cellular respiration? All right, and that's what we're going to deal with today. We're going to do and look for some evidence of cellular respiration. So before we do that, we're going to review a little bit. So remember, cellular respiration is this chemical formula we've been going over a lot here the last week or so. All right, and realize that cellular respiration has oxygen, which we breathe in, right? And then glucose, which we eat, goes through our digestive system, right? And then when those come together inside of our bodies, in fact, where does this actually happen? All right, but where does it actually happen? Remember last year, all right? Remember last year you learned about cells and different cell organelles, and here's an example of an animal cell right here. In fact, this is the exact copy of the same drawing that we used last year, if you remember that. Remember, the mitochondria are these little structures here that look like little mazes inside. And these are called the powerhouses of the cell. And remember, this is where cellular respiration happens. All right, it's actually happening in the mitochondria, right, inside of your cells. So these things are happening in our cells, right? And remember that our digestive system is what's bringing glucose to, right, that we've eaten, right? So remember, our body systems that are all working, right? They're all working together, right? And cellular respiration is that process that turns our food into usable energy. All right, so it breaks this down into carbon dioxide and water, and then ATP, which is energy that is used by the cell to get us to do lots of things, like everything, basically. All right, so this happens in our cells here, but how does that affect me? All right, it's this tiny thing that happens in all my cells. How does that affect me? Why do I care? I mean, it's just something that happens, right? Well, why don't we do a little experiment to figure out what's really going on here? All right. So our research question is, what would happen if if your body needed more energy to do something? How would your body get that energy to do that work? And how could you tell if a chemical reaction of cellular respiration was actually happening inside of your body? Well, let's try it out. So, our hypothesis, our possible solution to our problem, our testable is if you exercise for like 45 seconds, then would your body expel more or less carbon dioxide? All right, so go ahead and finish the hypothesis, right? So think about everything that you know, right? If you exercise, would your body expel or get rid of more or less carbon dioxide? Okay, and remember, carbon dioxide is something that's made during cellular respiration, right? During cellular respiration. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a little experiment. All right, we're going to do something with no exercise and see how much carbon dioxide we expel. And then I'm going to do some exercise for 45 seconds, and then we'll see if I give less or more carbon dioxide. And how we're going to do this is something with a liquid called a universal indicator. So it's going to be a liquid. It's going to look green to start because it's going to have more oxygen in it, which can make it more basic. If it turns yellow, that means that it's turned slightly acidic, which means and carbon dioxide will do that. So carbon dioxide into water is a very weak acid called carbonic acid, and it is an acid when carbon dioxide is inside. So any soda is technically a carbonic acid. So that kind of gives you a sense. So if it turns yellow, that means we've had carbon dioxide has been added. And we're going to see how quickly or which one turns yellow the quickest. All right, and we'll use that universal indicator to help us out. So if it turns yellow, it means there's the presence of carbon dioxide.
Stop.
Yeah, stop. Okay, stop it. All right, and now what do we do with this information? All right, so we watch it, and what did you notice? You noticed that the cup that I blew in, that when I was huffing and puffing after I had ran around my yard for 45 seconds, it turned yellow faster, right? It turned yellow faster, even though I had a hard time blowing out because I still needed more air in my body, right? To because my body was still trying to deal with what are you doing to me, all right? You need more energy. And so yeah, so when I exercise, I had it turned yellow lot quicker. Okay, so what do we learn from this? Right. Well, let's go ahead and write a CR here, a paragraph. I gave you the claim. All right, the body uses cellular respiration to create more energy ATP for the body to use. All right, use evidence from this experiment, from what you've learned about photosynthesis and cellular respiration. All right, and give reasons and explanations about why that claim is true. Right? So both evidence from this experiment and other evidence that you know about cellular respiration and photosynthesis. And part of that's just not necessarily about those, but just your experience with what do you do when your body needs more energy, right? As well. So enjoy going over this. It'll be a good review for our test coming up here as we deal with bonding and with chemical reactions, specifically photosynthesis and cellular respiration, right? And also remember to aspire not to have more, but to be more, right? So go be more and explore photosynthesis and respiration.